have a feeling, or are you surprised about the national seed?
Well, I knew we were on the bubble. Some RPI numbers, the pseudo RPIs, the Warren Nolan, the fact that we dropped a game over the weekend, and just kind of the way the buzz was and the talk was and the way the tournaments came out. Most of the favorites, I think, to my knowledge, won the tournaments, and I thought we were on the outside edge. I think it came down to probably 4 teams as I handicapped it. Mississippi State, they didn't talk about that. Obviously, looks like we just edged out North Carolina State. Florida State was one of those teams. Louisville was one of those teams. So I didn't know how it was all going to map out. We feel very grateful and honored that the committee recognized our body of work. It's a very, very difficult task. I have a long history of knowing about that. It's hard to make everybody happy, but we just feel honored that for 2 years in a row we were honored with the national seed opportunity and hosting, and I'd like to thank the committee for that, and hopefully we'll represent them well. That's always the thing, that when somebody sticks their neck out for you in some way, and those are, there's representatives from all over the country fighting for their little regions, and I don't think it's an antagonistic kind of conversation, but there's arguments and cases for each side, and so hopefully what we can do, for a lot of reasons, but we can represent whoever pushed the fact that Oregon should have that number 8 national seed. We can represent them well and find our way to the College World Series.
Why do you think you got it over some of the other bubble teams?
Well, I think we deserved it. We were in the top 8. We were at 7 and 8 RPI. There's no question, and congratulations to Coach KEZI and the Beavers for their body of work and the Pac-12 championship. Well deserved. It's a typical Coach KEZI team that's made deep runs into the College World Series, and I think they're a force to be reckoned with. But even though the scores were a little lopsided, I don't think there's any disrespect or we should go down because we lost 2 out of 3 to Oregon State, even in our own ballpark. And those ACC tournaments, SEC tournaments, Florida State's a good example. They kind of limping in 0-4 against good teams, make no mistake about it. But why should we suffer from losing to the number 3 seed and national seed in the country? They're very, very good.
You had said with a series win against Utah last week that you thought that you guys would be deserving of that national seed. What was your gut when you showed up this morning?
I was a little nervous, yeah. Just from stuff that we were on the computers as soon as we got off the plane, and I noticed that some of the RPIs, pseudo RPIs, had changed, and I was kind of prepared to say, I don't understand how we lost ground by winning 2 out of 3. Even though Utah had a crummy year, it's still a quality program. When some of those other teams didn't, like let's say North Carolina State, they didn't win their conference tournament. They certainly played great teams, and so I was prepared to say that, and I feel very good that we were probably just barely edged them out. And it's always a tough call. I think in some aspects, I feel bad for the Stanfords and Arizonas of the Pac-12, and the fact that we only have 4 teams in is a little bit of an eyebrow raiser to me. What the Pac has done in the past in the College World Series and in recent history in the College World Series, and certainly, Arizona, the defending national champs, not getting in. And then you look at 9 from the SEC and 8 from the ACC. Great conferences, great players, great coaches. You're a little regionally biased, and certainly I'm biased to our own conference, and we'll just take the 4 horses we have and see if we can make the Pac-12 look well.
Talk to our viewers about how you feel. What's your overall reaction about that?
Well, excitement. I feel good for a lot of different people. President Gottfredson, Rob Mullins, Pat Kilkenny, Mr. Knight, of course, Joe Ginsante, Renee Baumgartner that brought me here. I think, as you heard me say to the entire team and everybody in this building, even Pat Kilkenny, he's been around a lot of special stuff, that he said he got goosebumps when he heard our name called. And I said back to him via text that he deserves those goosebumps, because it was his brainstorm that started this whole concept. And I feel very fortunate to be in the University of Oregon Athletic Department. The bar's going pretty high in our athletic department to keep up. Too bad for the Coach White and the softball team, but with what football, track, Dana's done in basketball and softball and all the great programs at our university, you almost feel if you don't accomplish something like this, you're a little behind the times. So I feel good for a lot of different people. You saw how many people here and the efforts from my immediate staff and my extended staff and the players. It's not about George Horton, it's about all of us, and it all started with an idea that Pat Kilkenny had, and it makes me feel good to reward him with those goosebumps.
And it's about winning the day. Talk about that. Winning the day.
Well, Chip coined that one. We have a little different moniker called present positive process, and Chip has a lot of great ideas, and winning the day is a good concept. It's a little different way of saying what I've been doing for years.
George, the initial reaction on the other three teams coming here, thoughts on them?
Well, at this point, they're all good. We have a history with USF. We typically play them a couple times each year. They come from a very good, improved WCC conference. Nino Gerentano is a friend of mine. They do a great job of coaching. They can really pitch and play defense. Rice, Coach Graham and I go back to our junior college days, actually, when he was at San Jack Junior College and receiving National Coach of the Year's awards, and I was at Cerritos Junior College receiving California State National Coach of the Year awards, and we sat at the same table a couple times and got to know one another. And then certainly when I was at Fullerton, we matched up with Rice sometimes, and he's a great pitching coach and a great coach and a good guy. And I don't know much about South Dakota State, but my assistants left this building right now, and they're going to work on that. So, you kind of map out and you look at some of the regional maps up. Oh, that one's a tough one. Usually when you decide it's a real tough one, it's based on experience factor. Teams that are traditionally in the playoffs or the College World Series, coaches that have been there, or returning athletes that have been there. That means a lot in playoff format. And ours has a little bit of taste for that, but you look at like the UCLA regional, looks like a real tough one. And then ironic that Coach Vanderhook's at Fullerton, used to be at UCLA, and then if things map out the way they should, they'll be playing each other as well. I'd like to also reach out to Coach Checketts. I'm very proud of the fact that he moved to Santa Barbara, and he got his program into the playoffs, and ironic that he's coming back to where he played baseball at Oregon State. I think that's kind of a good sidebar story.
You guys seem to obviously put what happened last year behind you very quickly at the beginning of the season, but now that you're back in this similar role of being a national seed, what can this group learn from last year's experience heading into postseason?
Well, it's got a little bit of a similarity to last year. We have a little bit, it wasn't as recent of the devastation of the Beavers sweeping us. I guess it was a little bit of a bittersweet pill for me that the Beavers had a close game yesterday, and actually they were behind at the point when our game ended, and went, oh man, did we blow a special opportunity to be called co-champs. And the fact that they were able to come from behind speaks volumes, and not only about their mental toughness after they already clinched to get that done, but it was a little sense of relief for us that we didn't potentially blow an opportunity to be called Pac-12 champs for the first time. And like I said earlier, Coach Casey's club is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think they're the depth, the balance, the toughness, the coaching. They've had a great year. There's no, and the fact that we've been able to stay that close to them, go head to head, and unfortunately lose a little ground, I think speaks volumes about our club as well. And no matter what, I mean, we could be on a 20-game winning streak, kind of like Kent State was coming into it. But teams, a week goes by, you get hot and cold, and each weekend that you're given the opportunity to play will be a challenge on its own merit. And really, your body of work only positions yourself to be there. It really doesn't mean anything at that point. It's really what you do about it from there. So the fact that our last game that we played, we lost pretty soundly. Hopefully it'll get us, not that we need a lot of hype and get the players' attentions to practice hard or get ready, but I guess bring our lunch pill, so to speak, roll our sleeves up, and my team's pretty smart. We realize we can beat anybody in the country because we played the best of the best, and we also realize we can lose to anybody in the country. So it'll stand on its own merit, and my biggest concern with my ball club is getting healthy. Obviously, we got a lot of dings, and I'm assuming we're going to be close to 100% this weekend, but we were falling apart. We looked like the MASH unit on Sunday in Utah.
You expect Brett to play?
Pardon
Do
me?
you expect Brett to be able to play?
We got our fingers crossed. You know, he's day to day, and there's a reason we've kept him out for the last 5 games, and I'm hoping that, obviously hoping that he goes. He's a catalyst for us. He's a leader. Besides, you know, we don't recruit crummy baseball players. The kids that got the opportunity to be next stuck up and play, we felt confident with them. But when you lose a guy like Brett Thomas and Ryan Healy on the field and their leadership, not only their numbers and their baseball excellence, but the leadership factor. The strength of our ball club, make no mistake about it, is the intangible things, the character of our ball club. And when you lose 2 of the best characters, no pun intended, you're not playing with a full deck. So no excuses. We got beat flat out by Coach Kennenberg in Utah, but it'll be nice to get those kids back.
Heineman too, is it?
Yeah, his back tightened up a little bit again, and my trainer might be the MVP if we make a deep run in this thing. Tom Embry does a good job, and so hopefully Heineman will be back, and Catalano dislocated a finger. That looks pretty good today, and we elected to rest Jimmy Sherfy, so he'll be good to go. And so we'll have more of our bullets, but so will the other teams. And at this point of the season, everybody has to deal with injuries. You know, you just don't hope that they drag on or it hits significant guys and hurt the depth of your ball club.